Praise be Jesus and Mary. Today we celebrate the commemoration of St. Patrick. It's a feast day in Ireland, of course, and in other dioceses, churches. In our Diocese of Norwich, it is a feast day, so he's a patron of this diocese. Now, this apostle of Ireland was born in 385 in Britain, possibly Wales, of Roman British heritage. At age 16, he was kidnapped from his father's farm by Irish pirates, sold into slavery in pagan Ireland, where he was assigned the care of swine as a swineherd. And looking back on this, years after this event, this time of enslavement, St. Patrick would consider this enslavement as a punishment for his sins. While there in Ireland, he learned the Celtic language and embraced the Catholic faith. He had something of a reversion, or powerful conversion to the Catholic faith, and cultivated a life of intense prayer. 6 years later, he escaped to his native home, but he couldn't escape the voices of the Irish, calling him to come back, as it were. He had interesting mystical experiences, hearing the Irish calling him back to Ireland. And it kind of haunted him, but in the meanwhile, he studied in Lérins, France, from 412 to 415, being a disciple of Saint Germain, and spent a good 15 years then in Auxerre, France. During that time, he was ordained a priest, about the year 417 or so. In 432, he's appointed bishop by St. Germanus, and he was sent to Ireland to succeed the bishop there, Bishop Palladius, who as a missionary bishop spent just 1 year in Ireland and then had died. St. Patrick was very successful in converting some of the indigenous chieftains, but he had much greater success in converting the sons and daughters of the chieftains, and it was through them especially that St. Patrick could reach the whole population, as it were. And throughout the whole country, there were many converts. He did have fierce opposition from the pagan Druids, although many of them too eventually converted. St. Patrick was successful in integrating the gospel with Irish culture, implementing that missionary principle that the Catholic Church has always held to as inculturation, that is the removal or purging of all that's evil or false in a given culture, while holding to what is true and good, perfecting it with the gospel. It's interesting to note that Ireland is the only country in Western Europe in which the church was established without martyrdoms. St. Patrick had a lot of difficulty, opposition, but there was no bloodshed, as it were, no martyrdoms. He gives us a glimpse of his missionary spirit in his autobiography, which is called Confessio, Confession. And in it he says, for example, "I am ready to give my life most willingly, to spend myself even to death in this country. I came to the Irish peoples to preach the gospel and endure the taunts of unbelievers, putting up with reproaches about my earthly pilgrimage, suffering many persecutions, even bondage, and losing my birthright to freedom for the benefit of others." St. Patrick died on this day, March 17th, 461, at Saul on Strangford Lough, where he built his first church. And of course, he is the patron saint of Ireland. On this day, we pray in a special way for Ireland and all Irish throughout the world, especially in the U.S., where there are a lot of Irish immigrant families of Irish descent. We pray for Ireland and Irish that they might be faithful to their, could say, their identity, as the fighting Irish, and that they might fight the good fight, fight, not against God, Christ, and the church, which some unfortunately are doing, but that they might fight for God, Christ, and His church. Ireland is currently undergoing certainly a severe testing, of its faith. Will it be true to its Catholic heritage, or will it not be? There's no guarantee, that the Catholic faith, the Catholic Church, will, be firm in any given country, even a country with a long-standing, Christian tradition like Ireland, having over 1,500 years, of Catholicism on its soil, and which was the real soul of its culture for so many centuries. And so we pray that that remains the case, that Ireland, holds fast to the faith, and all Irish throughout the world do the same. So we pray for that grace through the intercession of St. Patrick. Praise be Jesus and Mary.